What's up, Mod Squad? Swift here. I'm joined by my guy Samo. Walt is in the house as well, and we got special guest Ian Cummings. Ian, go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the people where they can find your work at as well. And it's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, it's good to be on. Good to be 2 days out from the NFL draft, so we're almost there. Ian Cummings, I write NFL draft analysis for Pro Football Network. You can find them at PFN365. You can find me on X, formerly Twitter. I'm gonna keep calling it Twitter just for that nostalgic element.
Always.
But you can find it's always Twitter, right? You can find me at IC_draft. Any draft questions you have, feel free to hit me up.
Awesome, man. That's we're full of draft questions. Probably, I'm just like Samo said, man. The draft is pretty much Christmas time for us around here, and especially when you have 2 first-round picks. When you're a franchise that's not used to having first-round picks, even not even one, we got 2 in the top 10.
Yeah.
This is going to be our first time taking anyone #1 overall in my entire lifetime, and I think most of us we already know it's Caleb Williams. We're sold on Caleb, so I'm going to start there. I think he's a special prospect. What are your thoughts on Caleb Williams?
Yeah, for sure. He's one of the highest QB prospects that I've ever graded. He and Drake May for me, actually. I'm a big fan of both those guys, but they're both at the top of my board, the top 2 players on my board. And Caleb Williams, I think, especially with the supporting structure that you're bringing him into, right? The offensive line is pretty solid. You'd like to add, a center at some point, right? But, Braxton Jones is a young tackle who I think is showing some promise, right? So maybe you could add Joe Alt if you want to, but I don't think you need to, right? I think by and large, most of the unit is pretty solid. You got Cole Kmet at tight end. You got Keenan Allen and DJ Moore at wide receiver. And if you want to use that 9th pick on Roma Dunze or Malik Neighbors too, like you might have the 3 greatest receivers in Bears history right there. And I know that's not saying a lot, but no, I'm kidding. But, it's one of those things where you have a really good supporting cast for the Bears already for Caleb Williams, and then Williams himself is one of those prospects who just has that special ability off platform, that creation ability. He's a magician off script sometimes with his ability to, change direction, field defenders, create for himself, extend plays, and make plays off script and off platform with that arm elasticity, that angle freedom, and that torquing ability, right? So, there's so much that he brings to the table. And then I think he's got a really solid RPO framework as well. He's really accurate on short and intermediate throws. I think right out of the gate, he can be productive, and he's got that all-pro ceiling. So, I think it's a good time to be a Bears fan because you've got the supporting cast and the QB to really bring this thing ahead and really kind of accelerate this rebuild.
Yeah, man, I've been completely sold on Caleb Williams since we traded Justin Fields. I think it's something as fans we kind of stuck around, we kind of hung around on Justin Fields a little bit too longer. Some of us wanted to keep him, but Caleb Williams, it's clear his awareness inside the pocket is next level. He's special. That combined with his lightning quick release, off the charts football IQ, insane arm talent. You said it. He can throw from any angle. He can contort his body and throw the football to any place on the football field at any time without even having to set his feet. It's special, and we've never had anything like that in Chicago. So as a Lions fan, because if anyone in the chat, don't give him too much trouble now. He is a Lions fan, but he keeps it objective. But I want to know, I want to hear from that Lions fan part of you for just one question. Yeah. How do you feel about the Bears getting Caleb Williams?
The Lions fan part of me doesn't feel great, because the Lions it was looking like we might have a monopoly on the NFC North for a tiny stretch there. And then the Packers started getting better with Jordan Love. They have a really young roster that's on the come up. The Vikings have a pretty strong roster too, and they're going to get their QB. But then the Bears, man, the Bears are kind of scary because they got their corner room. They got a pretty solid defense. You want them to add a couple more pieces on the defensive line, but you got that linebacker group. I think they're really getting close to a place where they can get competitive and stay competitive. And the final piece of the puzzle is that offense, which has been kind of the Achilles heel for the Bears for most of their existence, if we're being honest, right? So you get that quarterback, you get that wide receiver trio, you get that offensive line, and you also have Shane Waldron, an offensive coordinator, who I think will fit this personnel grouping very well. I think things are coming together. I think they're becoming cohesive. And as a Lions fan, I'm not going to lie, that's kind of scary because we got Jared Goff over there who's, a solid quarterback in structure. But, hey, who do I trust to put the team on his back and create when he needs to? I trust Caleb, right? So, it's going to be a fun dichotomy. And I think especially for the young QBs in the NFC North, you got Jordan Love, you got Caleb Williams, you're going to have Drake May or JJ McCarthy most likely for the Vikings. It's going to be a fun time for sure. And it's going to be the margin for error is going to be a lot slimmer with all these teams in the mix.
Man, I like to hear that. I'm not the biggest Jared Goff fan. I'm with you. He's a good quarterback, but yeah, I think this is going to be a fun division now. I think it's going to be more exciting. It's going to be scary. And let's go ahead. We got 2 new people join the show since we started talking there. David, welcome, man. How you doing today?
How's it going, Swift, man? Just what's going on, everybody? Walt, Samo, Will, Ian, nice to meet you guys. Good seeing you again, Samo. I know we've talked before. Listen, Swift, man, good stuff the other day with Double G. I gave it a watch, and the one thing I will do is that I ended up watching that Caleb Williams interview not once but twice with Ryan Clark and Channing Crowder and Fred Taylor. I thought it was really eye opening. I thought it was so much to the point where after I was done watching it, I had a new take on him, like a new sense of calm of like, yeah, this is the guy. And then, listen, everywhere, at work, people know I'm a diehard Bear fan. And I've been getting texts at work saying, listen, man, your quarterback or future quarterback sure does talk a lot. Like he says more than you would expect. And I'm like, I kind of like that about him. It kind of endears me to like, it's not going to take the fan base a long time to embrace him. And I'm even more excited than I was prior. I mean, forget the tape, the game tape is what it is. But after watching that interview a couple times and going into his routine and how focused he is and that this routine and this family mechanism and that they've got to where he's been like, it's like, I don't know. I didn't know how to describe it. It's like his daddy knew, like from grade school.
True. If anyone doesn't know what he's talking about, he's talking about Caleb Williams joined the Pivot podcast. It was over an hour-long interview. Great show. I recommend that to any Bears fan. We'll probably touch on that a little bit more in a minute, but I know Ian's time is really limited today, so I want to any questions we have for Ian about draft prospects or anything we want to get into today. Will, did you have anything that you wanted to kick off with since you just got here? Over there fixing your cam, I see you.
Oh, yeah, I'm over here trying to fix this cam. Ian, are you in the Detroit area, Ian?
I'm in mid-Michigan, so Lansing, I'm like 15 minutes out of there.
Okay.
Are you planning on attending the draft this weekend?
No, it's easier logistically to cover it remotely for PFN. And to be honest, dealing with the noise and all the crowds and stuff, like I'm a lot more comfortable at my computer. That way I can manage everything. And we're going to be providing live analysis for each pick, live grades and analysis and other stuff too. So it's a lot easier to manage it remotely, just kind of in my apartment,
Okay.
I just asked Ian a question real quick. I want to ask Ian something from a Lion fan perspective.
Yeah.
Who are you hoping the Vikings trade a haul up to are you hoping they get May or are you hoping they get McCarthy?
It's a good question.
For selfish reasons, Ian. For selfish reasons.
For sure. And I think, I try to remain outcome independent as an analyst. So I'll never rag on a guy. I'll never say that a guy is probably going to be a bust, right? That's counterproductive. I think as an NFL draft analyst, it's really important to think about what these guys can do, right? And be open to those outcomes. So I would prefer they don't get Drake May. I'll say that. I really like Drake May. He's one of my highest graded QB prospects, right along with Caleb Williams in my 3 to 4 year stretch of grading these guys with my scale. So he's right up there. And I think the Vikings have the supporting cast to really get him to his maximum. And that's a scary thing. That's a very scary thing because he's got the size, he's got the athleticism, he's got the arm talent too. I think people kind of, especially early on in the cycle, there was this misnomer where people were talking about Caleb Williams as the high upside counterpart and Drake May is the high floor prototypical counterpart. And I think that, people like to pit these guys against one another as prototypes that clash, but Drake May and Caleb Williams are both extremely high upside prospects with their creation ability, with their athleticism. And I think Drake May, for a bigger guy, it really catches you off guard how well and how effortlessly he can throw off platform, even rolling to his left at full speed, man, torquing his hips, sidearm, laser, leading his receiver on out routes. So, there's a lot of upside there and the anticipation is there in spurts too. I think getting him in the Vikings supporting structure would be really scary. I think JJ McCarthy would be a solid quarterback in the NFL, but Drake May is the one that would really scare me if he's there.
I agree. I couldn't agree more with that. I got some bad feedback from Bears fans when I ranked Drake May as my second quarterback this year. I was like, look, if it's not Caleb Williams, this was months ago, but I was like, it's 98% sure Caleb Williams. But if it's not, a lot of people were like, oh, we could trade down and take Jaden Daniels. I was like, if it's not, it's going to be Drake May, because Ryan Poles also likes a lot of those things that Drake May does. The size, he has that prototypical size. He's the ability to throw off platform, and he's also very athletic. So yeah, I really do like Drake May. What are your thoughts on what do you think is going to happen around pick 9 for the Bears? Do you have any predictions or thoughts on that one?
I think my top options would probably be either the top one remaining of the big 3 receivers, right? Marvin Harrison Jr., Rome Odunze, Malik Neighbors. If you can get one of those guys without trading up, I think that's a win. Because I think, Malik Neighbors fits really well with the personnel they have right now, with Keenan probably on the boundary. But you can move these guys around. I think you can move all of them between the slot and the boundary. Malik Neighbors has that creation ability in the short range on the horizontal plane, where he can be that elite rack threat and that vertical threat. But then Rome Odunze as well. Keenan Allen is getting older. If you want to isolate some mismatches with him by moving him to the slot, I think Odunze is a guy who can win on the boundary as well, with that route running ability, that size-adjusted fluidity. Early on in the cycle, I was thinking to myself, like, Odunze has some similarities to Keenan Allen, right? Keenan Allen coming out was around 6'2", 6'3", over 210 pounds. Really fluid route runner, man. Really good at stacking transitions, sinking out of breaks, right? But then had that explosiveness and some rack, especially early on in his career, right? Before Keenan Allen became this elite technician, that size and athleticism and that fluidity and the ability to go up and get the ball and then maintain control and coordination at the catch point, right? All were big strengths of his. So Rome Odunze has a lot of those too. So I think either one could be a fit in a different way, but I would love to add one of those guys without trading up if I can. If neither of them is there, Dallas Turner would probably be the next one up on my board. And I know he's not a perfect scheme fit for Matt Eberflus's traditional system, right? I think you'd have to do some mixing and matching to get him in optimal situations, but that profile is just too enticing for me personally as an evaluator, right? If you're the Bears, I could easily see them trade back, maybe get Jared Verse or Byron Murphy II. I know he's been a popular pick there, getting another disruptive 3-tech on the interior. So I think there's multiple ways that they could go. My top option would be one of those big 3 receivers. If not, I'd look at Dallas Turner, Jared Verse, Byron Murphy II, one of those defensive linemen.
Man, you're pretty much lock in step with how we feel around here. I think Odunze is the guy that we're rooting for to fall. I don't think there's any chance. We don't believe there's a chance that Marv has a chance to fall, but
Right.
Odunze or Neighbors, maybe. If Odunze was there, I'm running and turning that card in. And I think Verse and Byron Murphy are both perfect fits for what Eberflus and Poles looks for. Same with Dallas Turner, but I think he's also more likely to be picked by the Falcons. And personally, I like Jared Verse better, just slightly. I prefer Jared Verse over him. But I think we're on the same page pretty much with all that. As far as Odunze goes, man, that's just a smooth route runner and a guy that I have in my top 3 prospects this year's draft. He's special.
He's a very strong player.
It's interesting you say that. I'm sorry. It's interesting you say that about the Falcons. I'm keeping a very close eye on this Falcon. You're great because you
know what you're saying.
Because at first I thought it was going to be a possible pick swap, but now I'm hearing it's possible that they just might lose the pick, therefore making the Bears pick 8. And I'm just saying, how much does that flip our draft? With the capabilities of possibly having Dallas Turner there, or Odunze, or a higher Jimmy Johnson point total to possibly move up. You know what I mean, Swift? I don't know. It's something I'm watching.
I don't think it changes much because I think really it's only one pick, and if the NFL does it, it's going to happen. Ian, do you think there's any chance the NFL does take that pick from the Falcons?
This close to the draft, man, it would be surprising. I think we would have heard about it already. Honestly, I wouldn't want to pull the rug out.
Yeah, it'd be unprecedented, but they're still talking about it like it's a real thing. So I don't know. I just want to throw that out there, Swift.
All right, what other questions we got for Ian here, guys?
So, Ian, I know you named the big 3 wide receivers. Everyone wants to say that there's possibly a big 4 wide receivers when they consider Brian Thomas Jr. I know last year the Detroit Lions, we ragged on them. We got on them pretty tough.